family, it's Sista SoulSurvivor here downtown at the City Hall, getting ready to join the protest for the first time since the murder of George Floyd. So I'm gonna see what we got here. So they're lining up, forming the march over here to the left. So here we go. And the reason why it's my first time, because they wanted us to do a peaceful march, and I didn't feel so peaceful, to be truthful about it. His death wasn't done in peace, so I didn't understand why I needed to be at peace. So we are forming up right now, and we're getting ready to get this march on. We're gonna make sure we keep our knee on their necks. Policies and laws and law enforcement will be changed. All right, family. So let's see what's going on.
Here protesting for my little sister. She's 10 years old, and I know this is going to affect her, and I know this is a change.
Yeah.
This is a change for the whole world.
Yeah.
So it's about showing love. I know all lives matter, but Black lives matter.
All right.
Right now.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, we are here at the Oklahoma City Black Lives Matter protest in OKC, and protesting is a very interesting thing, right? Because like Martin Luther King said, riots and protests are the language of the unheard. And I have a feeling that this is a very important thing in history that will change lives forever.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So the night is on.
And so every time we'll be talking
Looking over here. All the protesters, they are ready and fired up. We're just waiting.
Is going to try to put into context the statements that Councilwoman Nikki Nice just made, as well as the beautiful rendition that my dear sister Cherie just made to all of us. It's hard for me to tell you this very simple point, this very simple truth, but where I'm positioned, where I'm situated as a historian of lynching and racial violence, I feel in this moment I need to share it. And the simple point is that black people will never be free until we are free of racist, terroristic violence against our bodies. We will never be free. Never. We will never be free till we are free of that. Nothing else matters until we are free of that. And it pains me to say that. I have with me my 7-year-old children. It's a bitter truth that I wish I did not have to say in their presence. But if I'm responsible, I must. I must begin to teach them and to tell them the realities of Black life in America. I hate to be saying this also, because next week is Juneteenth, a sacred holiday for Black people. It should be for all Americans, and we can talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. And so when people ask me, what do you mean Black people will not be free until they're free of terroristic, racial violence against their bodies? what do you mean by that, Dr. Hill? And I say to them, particularly since Juneteenth is next week, in 1865, 4.5 million enslaved people were emancipated. And those same people celebrated because they knew what it meant to be terrorized on a daily basis. And so when we are reflecting on Juneteenth, remember that the story of violence against black bodies begins with slavery. We need to recognize that slavery wasn't just about owning black people, it was about terrorizing black people on a daily basis. That is our experience, and it has continued to today. What we also need to know is that in 1865, a group of 4.5 million slaves who had no property, who had nothing to call their own, began to build a community, began to build a culture. And do you know that in every decade since 1865, black people are wealthier, black people are more educated, and black people have more status in American society than they have ever had. And that has improved in every decade since slavery, since emancipation. That is our experience. That's our experience. We have prospered. Somebody told me yesterday there was a black president. I didn't believe him. Did y'all hear about that? Okay. So black people have achieved status. Black people have achieved wealth. Black people, I'm getting emotional here.
You got it. Got it.
Thank you.
We see you. We love you.
And I love you back. Black people in every decade have improved their plight, inch by inch, and mostly without the assistance of white people. But you know what has remained the same? The thing that has remained the same since 1865 is that black life in America is still as cheap as it was when we were emancipated. And we have to change that. We have to change that. Because again, black people cannot be free until we are free of racist, terroristic violence, whether it comes in the form of police brutality or private vigilantism. We must be free of it, otherwise nothing else matters. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are. As a black man, I always know that. It doesn't matter how smart I am. It will not insulate me from racist, terrorist violence. Oprah knows that. President Obama knows that. Everybody who's black, no matter what their station, knows that. That is what the Black Lives Matter movement is about. If we're not fighting for black lives, we're not fighting for anything that really matters. Those are the stakes. Those are the stakes. Those are the stakes. And I'm just going to close by saying, everybody, as my dear sister Cherie and Councilwoman Nikki Nice has suggested, everybody has a role to play in this movement. White, black, or otherwise, everybody has a role to play. What you have to do, what we have to do, each of us, our responsibility, in fact, is to find our lane. Find our lane and get to movement. Thank you.
Just a few announcements about things that are coming up today. and next week, either co-hosted or supported by the Black Lives Matter Oklahoma City chapter. Going on right now and going on until about 2:30 p.m. today, there is a soil sister awareness, starting off the Juneteenth celebration. And this is about Black Lives Matter in agriculture. And so we have a fierce sister by the name of Tammy Steele, who teaches young people about sustainable living and how to foodify spaces. And how many of you all know that that is going to be important in the times to come.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm not asking you or suggesting that you leave us, but afterwards, if you would like to go and support this effort and increase your knowledge around sustainability and agriculture, you can go to 1701 North Martin Luther King Avenue in Oklahoma City, 73111. Again, 1701 North MLK Avenue, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73111. This information is listed on the Black Lives Matter social media. On next Sunday, the leadership team of Black Lives Matter Oklahoma City is going to be led by our youth. It is being organized by our children. All right. And so next Sunday, June 21st, as we end the Juneteenth weekend, we will be having a children's march, because surely their voices, we are standing in accountability that we did not amplify their voices appropriately, and they are the most impacted of us all. When 12, 13, 14, and 17-year-old young people lives are stolen and promises are stolen, they deserve the platform, and we stand in service to them. And at 3 p.m., the march will start at F.D. Moon Middle School and proceed to the institution that is Douglas High School. And the children will lead us. And somebody told me, a great man advised us that that was going to happen. And see, we are going to listen to our young people. We are going to amplify the voices of our young people. And we are going to tell children that the lives of Black children matter. And so we have one more person who is coming up, and what a privilege it is for me to be able to call my Congresswoman, Congresswoman Kendra Horn. Congresswoman of Congressional District 5. And my dear friend, and one who has stood and said, even in the halls and on the floors of Congress in D.C., that Black Lives Matter. That has introduced legislation that will change how interactions happen, especially with those that are dealing with a mental health crisis. She has continued to champion for the citizens of Oklahoma and those within and those around her district. And so I say to you that it is very important that we continue to support her efforts, because Congresswoman Kendra Horn understands, believes, and stands on the fact that Black Lives Matter. After she finishes, we will begin to march over to the Oklahoma City Police Department and extend another invitation to Chief Gurley to come out and simply have a conversation. Disregarded, disparaged, and disrespected. We're going to continue to ask you to show up, but not just to moments like this. We're going to ask you to show up at the ballot boxes. We're going to ask you to show up at your municipal city council meetings. We're going to ask you to show up to your county commissioner meetings. We're going to ask you to send letters and emails and calls until the albatross that is called the Oklahoma County Detention Center has no ICE agents inside. And that it is not a continual vestige of despair and dehumanizing. That is what we're seeing every time someone goes into that place. The dehumanization of one of your sisters or brothers. And we're also going to bring criminal justice reform to the forefront. And I'm hoping that my white brothers and sisters and allies will begin to say that we are asking for equitable treatment under the law for our black and brown sisters and brothers. And many of you who have the t-shirts, who have the yard signs, who have the tags on your social media, will take it a little bit further and act in some of the things that you're going to hear about today and be responsive to black and brown persons in leadership, black and brown persons who are elected officials. And we're going to remove those and vote those out who do not understand that Black Lives Matter. I hope that you will join me in divesting from the systems of white supremacy that oppress my communities. And I hope that you will commit to continue to call out instances when you witness them. That you will take out your phones and you will document it. And you will become a system of protection for those who are vulnerable to those who are in power for the moment. And lastly, we're going to ask that you continue, and we've seen the signatures on the petition, but we're going to ask you to continue to asking the governor for clemency for our brother Julius Jones. Because surely, since there is an international acknowledgement and outcry for justice for him, that those that sit in the ability to change that will bring him home within the next month. So as I bring my councilwoman, Nikki Nice, up to address you all today, I want to tell you about a situation that occurred right before we actually got started. It was one of the reasons why we were a little bit delayed, and so I offer you my apology for not being as timely as we promised, but I was very disturbed. We parked some of our vehicles in the parking garage of our attorney, their building. And several of us decided to do what our mothers always told us to do before we go out into public, to go wash your hands and make sure that your bladders are empty. And while there was just a few of us assembled, there seemed to be a couple of people who also reside or have space in that building, and our vendors were disturbed by our presence, and they told us, one, they suggested that we not break anything and we don't tear anything up. And I think they might have been a little bit concerned because there was a lot of melanin on the floor. And my response is, I've been black a long time. But we were only using the facilities. And then the owner, I believe it is of Tina A. Hicks, decided to come out and stand with her son and say that you people don't belong here.
Wow.
And so just maybe, since that occurred, some of you all might want to reach out and explain to those that are asking for the dollars and monies from Oklahoma citizens that you're not going to continue to spend your dollars in places that speak against and uphold the systems of white supremacy, racism, some of my white sisters and brothers will engage her. Maybe she heard me talking and they had to call somebody because she's clutching pearls. But maybe my white brothers and sisters can call and tell Ms. Hicks it's gonna be all right as soon as you acknowledge that you and your family are racist and you are upholding the systems of white supremacy, and that there is no place for that type of programming within your city, within your state, and within your nation. And to whomever it was with the city of Oklahoma City that decided to create some barriers. I just want to let them know that me and a few of my friends that think Black Lives Matter will just change routes, and we're still coming. And today, tomorrow, and until your Black brothers and sisters have achieved it, I thank you and I ask you to continue to demand justice. Somebody yesterday told me wasn't anybody gonna come. They might have been a little bit wrong. How y'all feeling today? Somebody told me that you think that Black Lives Matter. Anybody out here opposed to that wants to come up here and talk about it? Just checking. Before we truly get started today, let me personally say thank you for your presence, for your support, for your perseverance, and for your constant messaging that says to the Black and brown communities that we do matter and that you stand with us. First and foremost, we want to acknowledge that we are standing on the land of the Caddo, Delaware, and what's the third one? And the Wichita tribe. This is tribal land, it is stolen land, and we should get honor to that. And I hope that you will join the Black Lives Matter Oklahoma City, as long as with our national and global teams, in pushing for them who stole it to give the land back. I don't think you heard me. I said I'm warning you to make sure that you stand with us and continue the messaging to return the land to our native and indigenous communities. The irony that we live in a state, the state of Oklahoma, that means land of the red man. And yet we do not acknowledge, and some of our top leadership continues to disparage and grift from those that he says he identifies with. That is not okay. I'm gonna tell y'all a secret so you can respond accordingly, but I'm a third generation pastor's kid and an ordained minister. And so when we have a mic and people aren't responsive, we just keep on talking. Because I'm from a black church. So if y'all not saying nothing, I think I'm not reaching you yet, and so I'm gonna keep on talking. All right? I do want to acknowledge the banner behind me. We all know that there is a sacred moment that is occurring across this nation. There is a sacred moment that is occurring in this great state. And there is a sacred moment and momentum that is happening in the city that I love, Oklahoma City.
Woo! Yeah, the heartland, baby.
some names behind me, and they are familiar to us. Breonna Taylor. We do not want to forget our black sisters who are also victims of police brutality and slain by these systems of oppression of white supremacy. We have our brother, Ahmaud Arbery, and most recently, George Floyd. Those are significant names. We know their names. But I'm asking you to remember the names of those across Oklahoma, and especially those within Oklahoma City, because those families are your neighbors. Those families are your friends. Those families are the most impacted, and we stand for them. We stand in service of them. And I want Oklahoma City and those who believe that Black Lives Matter to continue to send the messages. Right now, nationally, we have one of the many cases that has started to do something that we call trending. But I am a little bit weary because I'm tired of seeing my black brothers and sisters' names behind a hashtag. But we know right now, one of those names is Derek Scott. For over a year, the Scott family pursued simply to receive information. They asked to be able to see the footage. We made a demand, and I don't know that I'm grateful for someone doing what they should have done a year ago, but I can say they have received that. But what that means is that family has to relive and reprocess the atrocity that happened to Mr. Scott on Southeast 44th and High when he said something that has been attached as an anthem that I do not want to sing because my brother said, I can't breathe. He said, I can't breathe multiple times. He asked for his medication. And the response of one of the officers, and I believe him because he said it, he said, I don't care. And so I do believe that we're going to also make a request and a demand that that officer be removed from duty. And the other officers that laughed and alluded to the fact that Mr. Scott may have been faking. We're pretty sure he was not, because within an hour of that incident, he had moved on to the realm of our ancestors. He said he could not breathe. The posturing that they took, the procedures, and the lack of humanity afforded to a citizen of Oklahoma resulted in another person transitioning. That is not okay.
I said, can y'all hear me? Yeah! Now look, my name is Joshua Till. That means I am a direct relative of Emmett Till. So when I get out here and chant, I do it with my very soul. So if you with me this evening, I want you to say, ah! Ah! Say, I believe! I believe! Say, I believe that! I believe that! Say, I believe that we! I believe that we! Say, I believe that we will! I believe that we will! I believe that we will win! 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 Black Lives Matter.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. What a blessing. Thank you, thank you, thank you all. Thank you for serving. Hot, it's hot. We're dry out here. Thank you, God. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Black Lives Matter.
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 No justice, no peace.
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 Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Peace.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
No justice, no peace.
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 Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
No justice, no peace.
No peace.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
What a blessing. Thank you, thank you, thank you all. Thank you for serving. Hot, it's hot. We're dry out here. Thank you, God. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
Peace.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
No peace.
No justice, no peace.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
Right now. Give you like 5 more seconds. I see some white people that are not by anybody black yet, so I'm gonna still wait on you to get by somebody. If the next time I gotta tell you, I might tell you to grab them and hug them. Okay, so now that I'm making you uncomfortable because I know you're beside some people that you don't know. The reason that I want you to do this is because I want you to get familiar with people that don't look like you. Because what I mean by what are you gonna do the day after tomorrow, that means that if you're standing with me now, but you're not going to vote for me tomorrow, don't stand with me now.
That's right.
If you see somebody that's standing beside you that doesn't look like you, if they're pulled over on the side of the road tomorrow and you're not going to stop and record, don't stand with me now. If you're not going to go home to your racist grandma, your racist grandpa, your racist dad, your racist mom, your racist aunt, your racist uncle, your racist friend, and tell them that you're standing with me, don't stand with me tomorrow. Because I know KLC, News 9, News 25, they're here. So a lot of people that come out here for photo ops. A lot of people that come out here to get their businesses up. A lot of people that come out here for Facebook posts. A lot of people that come out here for Twitter posts. But after this is done, if you not gonna stand with me tomorrow, leave now. Members, and they ask you, how are you supporting these looters, these thugs, right? These criminals. Let them know that I'm an educator and I'm a principal at Oklahoma City Public Schools, and you're standing with me. But you're also standing with me tomorrow. And some of them might ask the dumbest questions. Why do they have to protest? Right? Well, let them know this, that I can't sit in my home because they will kick down my door and they'll kill me, Breonna Taylor. Yeah. Tell them that I can't go outside and exercise like you and take a run down the street because they will stop and kill me, Ahmaud Taylor. Let them know that my students that go to my high school can't walk to the store with a hoodie on and get Skittles and a sweet tea because they'll kill them too, Trayvon Martin. And since they say that a lot of these things are going on around the world and they're not happening here, yesterday I went to Billy Sims on Northwest Expressway. While I'm at Billy Sims on Northwest Expressway, their shift manager, Erica, when I went in, yeah, I gotta say her name, Erica. As I went into this Billy Sims after he said, we're protesting all day, we're having meetings, and I go to Billy Sims to give me something to eat because I'm hungry. Erica looked at me. I don't know if it was because I had my hoodie on, but I always tell my students that I don't ever want them to lose who they are to become what they want to be. And so if the way that I dress makes you uncomfortable, then you don't need to stand with me. And so I went into this Billy Sims with my hoodie on and my Jordans. She said that my money was fake. I left out because I was frustrated, and then I thought about it. Every day that we're out here protesting and we're marching, we talk about the things that go on. So I wanted to go back in and let Erica know, this is how somebody just got killed because of false accusations like this. And so I wanted to go back in to let Erica know that my money was real. What do you think Erica did? Erica called 911 and called the police on me. I didn't say it, she did. So the reason that I tell you this is that Billy Sims that's on Northwest Expressway. If you are standing with me now, then you gotta stand with me tomorrow, so we not messing with Billy Sims on Expressway. And the last thing that I'm going to say before I get down is the person that you're standing next beside that you do not know, that does not look anything like you, I want you to get their contact information. I want you to invite them to your next Thanksgiving dinner. I want you to invite them to your Christmas dinner. I want you to invite them to your church, because this is how we start to make the change. This is how we start to make a difference. It's when people start to see people that don't look like you in the same environment, the same places that they are, and so they really have to look at us. Because a lot of times when they leave from places like this and they turn the TVs off, they don't understand the feeling, they don't understand the culture because they're not around it. So I need you to put them in the uncomfortable environments that we face every day.
That's right.
Black lives. Black lives. Black lives. So if you're not gonna stand with Black Lives Matter tomorrow, then don't stand with us today. Because Black Lives Matter is not a movement. Black Lives Matter is a lifestyle. And we gotta be black every day. And I know when y'all standing in the sun, y'all get tired. At one point I had to ask myself if I'm tired of being black. And my answer came up that I'm not tired of being black. I'm just tired of living in a fucking world that want to kill me. No justice,
No peace.
He heard your voice. Now, he might have not heard you that time. I'ma say it again. Now, if he didn't watch the news, I'm sure he heard your voice. Now I got a couple of young people I want to speak with y'all. Is that all right? Yeah! Because when I talk to these young people, they say, I watch the news and I learned that when we see black and brown bodies being killed, they don't discriminate against young people. I told y'all that my relative, Emmett Till, was killed at a very young age. And before my family brought all of that hurt back up and we saw Tamir Rice's life taken in seconds. We saw somebody who was an innocent child taken from us. Youth doesn't protect you. Education doesn't protect you. Dressing well doesn't protect you. Having a permit for your gun doesn't protect you. Being in your home doesn't protect you. Running down your street doesn't protect you. Being naked doesn't protect you. So what will protect us if none of those things will? This moment, our voices, our collective power. Jasmine said it best. I don't want to be out here on a Saturday protest. I don't feel like we should have to be out here on a Saturday protesting. I don't feel like in 2020 we should still be trying to convince people that we are equal. In 2020, we should not be having to convince police officers to be civil. In 2020, we should not be out here trying to convince the chief of police to come speak with us.
Now I'm going to invite a couple of friends to the stage, and friends I've met in this movement to the stage, to let them speak to you, to share with you their experiences. I know a lot of you get the message, but while we have this audience, and while we have the news stations, and while we have people who can't be here in person paying attention, we need to teach them what we already know, that Black Lives Matter. Now we'll bring Leandre to the stage. And so this beautiful brother right here, this beautiful educated brother right here, this beautiful caring brother right here, somebody's son, somebody's brother, somebody's cousin, soon to be somebody's father if we stay out here and we fight long enough for him to live. Can I hear you? Can you make that commitment to this young brother that you won't stop until he can have his children? Until his children can have their children? So he gets the luxury of just simply passing in his sleep. Yeah, we don't want to keep protesting. We don't want to keep fighting. But we will as long as we have to.
For those who don't know me, like you said, my name is Leandre Lattimore. I was born and raised in Oklahoma City from the east side. I live in Ward 7 and also live in CD5 with both my congresswoman and my councilwoman here. And for those who don't know, I actually just graduated college from OCU. I want to tell you something about what happened. So as you all know, we got the coronavirus that just happened, and a lot of us had to do online classes, and a lot of us couldn't have a physical graduation. So what my school decided to do was to give us a virtual graduation. And I don't know if you heard about it or not, but our virtual graduation actually got hacked, right? And on the screen, all we saw was the N-word and the swastika. And, you know, it really hurts because not only did everyone have their family members and their loved ones celebrating a day that's supposed to be good, that students work so hard to achieve, but I have a little sister who's only 11 years old. And all she wanted to do was celebrate her big brother's graduation. And unfortunately, she had to witness the hate and the bigotry that we have to face in this country. Now, if you look around you, you see we have the Oklahoma City Police Department right here, and we have the Oklahoma County Jail. Now, I'm not the biggest math person, but I know when some things don't add up. So when I think about how Black Americans only make 13% of the population, yeah, we make 40% of the prison industrial complex, something doesn't add up to me. When I think about how my Black brothers are 6 times more likely to be killed at the hands of police officers, something ain't adding up. When I think about my Black women who experience maternal mortality at a higher rate than any other race of women in this world, something ain't adding up. When I look around the country and I see that everybody that's protesting, and everybody that's here standing for justice, I think to myself that we're not out here for no reason. Like you said, we didn't want to spend our Saturdays like this in the sun, but we're doing it because we have to, because our lives and our futures depend on it. We have to have children in this world, and we have to teach them that what we stand for is the right thing to stand for. Now, we just met with, a few friends of mine just met with actually Chief Gurley a couple of days ago in the meeting. And one of the questions that was asked to him was, would you be willing to meet with Black Lives Matter? And I'm sure, although it doesn't appear that way, his response was yes. But I'm confused on where he is right now. Because I don't see him anywhere in sight. Now I think that when we have a police department that's supposed to protect and serve us, they should be held to a standard. They should be held to a certain level of understanding to serve and protect their community. But when they can't do that, I guess we don't have a choice but to ask for them to maybe step down from their position. Because if you can't hold the job, if you can't hold the people that good serve to protect and serve accountable, then we may have to have somebody else do the job. Now, I ain't gonna be here before y'all too long. I got some more people down here that should speak, so I'm gonna go ahead and step it down. But I want you to know that Black Lives Matter today they matter tomorrow, it doesn't matter for every day, as long as I'm here on this earth, as long as I'm here on this earth.
I want y'all to say Leandre. Leandre. Say Leandre. Leandre. I see you.
I see you.
I hear you.
I hear you.
I love you.
I love you.
I see you.
I see you.
I hear you.
I hear you.
I love you.
I love you.
Thank you. And my next friend I ain't known too long. We just recently connected, and ever since we connected, he has done nothing but pour life into me. This work is tiring, y'all. To carry the weight of the world in regular life, and then have to come down here and protest. And then after you finish protesting, you still gotta try to get some sleep because you got work in the morning. And then you leave work on your lunch break to go have a meeting so that we can plan another demonstration, so that we can demand that our voices be heard before we go back to work and continue to try to have some sense of normalcy in a life that ain't normal, y'all. Fighting to have our voices heard, fighting to make sure that the people who stand behind us will one day come stand with us and see the brutality like we saw with George and say, that is wrong. I used to be a dispatcher. I used to work for the police, and when I worked for the police, I saw that there were good officers, and there were officers who came there with one goal in mind, and that was to devastate people's lives. And so when you tell me that all cops are not created equal, I want to believe you. But when you don't speak up, when you see these atrocities, how can I? You can't just talk about this fight. You just can't talk about this work. You have to walk, which is why we marched you down here, so that you can take a moment to walk in the shoes of those who are now hashtags. But understand, even though we see them on the social media as hashtags, we still see them as the people that they were. As the sons, as the daughters, as the sisters, as the brothers, as the parents, as the grandparents, as the babies that they were. If I do nothing else in this life, it is to protect each and every single one of you, so that none of you have to one day be a hashtag. So that we don't have to come out here and demand people say your name. What hurts me more than anything is when we shall say their name and we aren't even sure which one of the many names we are talking about. A person who can speak on his experience better than I can is coming to the stage. This is Miles. Say Miles. Miles. Say Miles. Miles. I see you. I see you. I hear you. I hear you. I love you. I love you. Say Miles. Miles. I see you. I see you. I hear you. I hear you. I love you. I love you.
Where you at? I see all of y'all here. Y'all are here out in the heat. It's hot. I'm wearing all black. Where's Chief Gurley? Where's Chief Gurley? We sent him an invitation. He sees us out here. All of his goons are sitting right here. Where's Chief Gurley? Say, where you at? 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 Come on out, Chief Gurley. Come on out, Chief Gurley. Come on out. Come on out.
I don't think he's coming, y'all.
I lied.
laws don't matter to him.
I don't think. Refuses to apologize for his officer's continual misconduct. Refuses to say Black Lives Matter. Refuses to make any changes within his department. But let me talk a little bit about police reform. Let me talk a little bit about police reform. Let me talk a little bit about the idea of reforming the police. Now we know that the police, modern policing in the United States of America is directly descended from slave patrols in the 18th century and in the 19th century went and gathered up runaway slaves and brought them back to the places, to the plantations, so they can continue to be inflicted with great terror and violence under the institution of slavery. That's where these people are descended from. So when you tell me that we're going to reform these people, I just don't hear you. Because guess what? I know that they will never be accountable to us. I know that they will never be accountable to the community. I know that they will never be accountable to Black people. I know that they will never be accountable to justice because they never have been. Defund the police, that's the only option. What we talking about? We talking about the $226 million that the Oklahoma City Police Department gets. Needs to be reallocated to the people. Needs to be reallocated to the community. Needs to be reallocated to housing, and the food, and the education, to the people. There's no community policing. There's no barbecue that OKCP can do that's suddenly going to make me have faith in them to protect and keep me safe. When I see a police officer, I fear for my very life. I fear for my breath. I fear that I'm going to be the next Black person, the next Black boy whose breath is taken. I fear that my mother's going to be the next one on TV in front of these new cameras crying out for her son. That I'll be the next hashtag. That's what I see when I see these cops. There's no community policing. That's such an oxymoron. I hate when I hear the words. There's no barbecues, there's no basketball games that these cops can play that are suddenly going to make amends for the terror that they've inflicted in our community for centuries. The only option here is to defund them and redistribute those funds to the people. Say it with me, defund! 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 That's straight up, man. Listen, everybody want to talk about safety. What happens when there's no police? Let's talk about safety, right? Who are we talking about? Who are we talking about when we're saying safe, keeping us safe? Because for Black people in this country, when I hear safety by the police, I hear death. That's what safety means. So when we talk about the cops are keeping us safe, what we're really talking about is that the cops are doing the bidding of the ruling class, of the 1% of white supremacy, and are keeping up the subjugation of people of color and Black people in this country. That's what the police do. They do not keep us safe. So when we talk about safety, when we talk about reallocating these funds, redistributing these $200 million that these cops have back into community programs, back to mental health counselors, back into education, that's what keeps us safe. When everybody in Oklahoma City, when everybody in the state of Oklahoma has a house over their head, has food in their belly, has education, and teachers that care about them. That's what provides safety. This idea of crime is directly related to the situations that people are in, because people don't have housing. People are not getting the education they need. People are not getting the food in their bodies. Give the money back to the people. Stop talking about community policing. Stop talking about training. Stop talking about anti-bias. Because racism, white supremacy is deeply entrenched into the institution of policing. There is no training that will undo that. We have to slowly shrink their influence and keep our community safe ourselves. What's that going to take? It's going to take us. It's going to take the people. It's going to take us speaking up, being there, showing up to city council meetings. It's going to take us voting. It's going to take us demanding the change that we want and we need in our lifetime. It's going to be us revolting It's going to be us protesting, demonstrating every single day, making sure that our voices are heard and that they see and hear us. Until we don't have to say anybody else's names, because all of us are alive for once in this country. I'm going to end right where I started. Where you at, Chief Gurley? Say, where you at, Chief Gurley?
Where you at, Chief Gurley?
Come on out.
Come on out.
Come on out.
Come on out.
Let them know that when there's no justice, there is no peace. When there is no justice,
No peace.
no justice,
No peace.
no racist.
No peace.
Amen, y'all.
All right, I'm back.
What up, Survivor? Today I survived a peaceful, powerful protest right here in the heartland, right here in my city. I've never been so proud of my city, standing up once again for injustice and police brutality. We had some beautiful, wonderful, phenomenal speakers out there. I couldn't capture it all. It was so hot today to where my device just overheated. So I captured what I could. I hope you enjoyed it. And the one thing that I took away from this peaceful, powerful protest is, yes, we're standing for injustice, but for the lives that were taken by police brutality and murder, but we also need to stand for injustice for those that have been falsely accused that's in the system right now today. So please, survivors, please, by all means, reach out to your legislators, your Congress, with emails, phone calls. Don't forget to vote. Don't forget to vote. And also, if you're not protesting, let's get involved in some kind of way. And I'm so, so proud of the Millennium. I can't talk about them enough because they're definitely on the front line, and they are definitely fighting for injustice and a better world tomorrow for all of us. So justice can be for all. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share, comment, and let's get involved, family. We've survived for such a time as this. We've got to let our voices be heard. We've got to do something. This is not a movement for me. This is definitely a lifestyle. All right, survivors. Until next time, I love you. Ashe. Mwah.